Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Lefort Augustin French Whisky. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Lefort Augustin Whisky. This particular whisky is a single malt whisky from France and it's made in France with French ingredients. This particular whisky retails for around €30 in France. It's 42% ABV and is aged in ex-cognac casks. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that's like a deep gold, but as it doesn't say whether or not it's uncoloured, it probably is coloured. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is like malted cereal. I get some linseed oil. I get like tart green apples. Get some pears. I get like a hint of acetone. I get some dry wood. There's like a hint of hops. And there's also a hint of popcorn in there as well for me. Let's move on to the palate. Yes, the first thing I get with this, just like on the nose, is cereal. It's followed by a noticeable sort of charred oak character. Really you can sort of taste the barrel wood. That's yeah, it really does come forward quite strongly, I'd say, on this. There's a little bit of red apples, but having been aged in an ex-cognac cask, you can definitely tell there's a fruitiness to this. Let's have another sip. Yeah, so I'm getting some interesting sort of spice notes on this now. I'm getting like star anise and licorice. There's also a hint of pepper. There's a little bit of spiciness, almost like a barrel spice. It's really starting to tingle, but it's not unpleasant. There's also a slightly sort of herbal taste in there. Reminds me a little bit of linseed oil or like window putty. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, so I'm getting like brown sugar, and that linseed oil reminds me of like a rye whiskey. There's like a rye spice in there, but it's not unpleasant, but it's yeah, it's not really wowing me at this stage. In terms of finish, I'd say it's like a medium length. There's some star anise, there's pepper, there's malted cereal. In terms of value, well, as I said, it's around the sort of €30 mark. I think that's sort of its retail, that's sort of the higher limit. But this is a supermarket French single malt. Obviously, it's aimed to be an entry-level whisky in the French market, and yeah, there's nothing in it that really jumps out at me. There's nothing that wows me. It reminds me of a cross between like a whiskey, a rum and a cognac. It really gives mixed messages, and although it's, I'd say, whiskey-esque, I think you could easily be confused that this is potentially another spirit. It's a little bit muddied, and I think although it's not unpleasant, there's nothing that stands out, there's nothing that wows, and potentially in the French market there may be better value whiskies from Scotland, for example, but I think you know, somebody wanting to buy whiskey in France that's made in France, that's, you know, 100% French, and there is an element of terroir there, I think they'll probably lean towards this. But it isn't, dare I say, it's not an enthusiast's whiskey. It's it really is entry level, and I think it's a good attempt, but it's just not good enough. There's definitely more on the market for the same sort of money, and yeah, it's probably one that I'd say if you've got better options, then yeah, from any of the big brands, then maybe leave this one alone. It was definitely nice to try. My brother lent it to me. He brought it back from France recently, and obviously it's always good to try a new brand to see what people are doing. But it's, yeah, I'd say it's a good first attempt, but it's not really doing it for me. If you've tried this and you've got similar opinions or something completely different, let me know in the comments as always. And if you think there's another French whiskey I should try out there, something, you know, a bit more mainstream or maybe a little bit niche, as long as I can get hold of it, then also let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Hopefully you found this interesting, and I'll see you again soon. Sauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.